And today we're looking at many issues that will, of course, interest you. There are different angles to what has been trending, and we want to also see how you can be part of these contributions as well. The one thing that is trending, of course, a few days ago, but it's still at the top of issues. It's the NLC, let's say NLC, the NANS president and the Minister of what again? And the Minister of I've forgotten his designation anyway. The Minister of Education, rather, where he met the NANS, where the NANS president met him, and a lot of people said the engagement between the NANS president and the Minister of Education is indeed not correct. Who was wrong? The NANS president has described him as yelling. He had a very big opportunity, but he couldn't utilize it well. He only shouted and didn't make, he wasn't coherent. He came unprepared. That's what a lot of people are saying. But of course, you also saw the reaction of the education minister. He responded to them just brief and walked out of them.
Yeah, well, that video is quite interesting. I saw a bit of the vibe usually that is it Shoyinka? No, not Shoyinka, the other guy that likes protesting a lot, that he gives that vibe oftentimes. I saw it there. But then what, you know, oftentimes when union meets, Labour Congress meets, you know, ministers of works, information, and all of that, government generally, there seems to be this vibe that they throw at them, this energy that says, we didn't come here playing. We mean everything, that we're out here, the agenda, you know. But many people have forgotten that union no longer fights the way it used to fight. You know, in the time past, it could even get really physical. But now, it's dialogue, diplomacy. There's a smart way to go about it. And that's what many are faulting this, the NANS president, this very young, vibrant man. Of course, you could see there that, to some extent, he's visiting the minister appeared as though he wasn't prepared. He was seeking to approach the minister, but he didn't believe he would have the opportunity to encounter him. That's the first reaction that I got from all of that. So when it took him unaware. You know, when you seek an opportunity but you're not prepared for it, that's just what it appears for me personally when I went through that video. Now, he met the minister, and then plus he already had this idea of how unionism acts, but that was in the past. Now dialogue, diplomacy plays a huge role in resolving conflicts, in settling things. So you could see that there were a bit lack of wisdom there, tacticness there, the approach on the part of the NANS students. Now on the part of the Minister of Education, of course, you are a public person. You encounter different approaches. Working out, that was totally wrong. And in some country where that law works, that approach deserves to be sanctioned. You could be sacked from that position because you represent the people. And in as much as different personalities come to you, you do not work out on people like that. People that elected you, people that appointed you, people that you were placed in place to serve them, you know, to hear out. And then the NANS students president made so many points, but the minister took just one point out of it, and the approach was describing other ones as, you know, just mere noise. But they now made several points there. So the whole thing, every party have a lot to learn from this. The part of the Minister of Education, not just with the minister, so many public office holders in Nigeria feel, in quotes, demigods, feel they should be worshipped, feel they should be feared, forgetting that your interest there is for the public. You're there to serve, not to be served. You know, the people have the power. The people have the power to remove you from that office or keep you in that office. Then should always bear this in mind. And at the same time, the people, when approaching government, it is not fight. The government is for you. You are equally part of the government. So the goal is not to overthrow the government with words or aggression, but it's how to get the system to work to favor you. Because at the end of the day, the goal is something that will just work, a system that works, that everybody will benefit from.
So let me assume that you're the president of the country, and
let me sit like one.
And you are the Minister of Education, who you appointed, acted this way. What would be your response?
Okay, as a president, I will politely tell you that is rude. This is a lawful society. I do not appreciate the manner of approach, and so I will sanction you. I have the powers to sanction you. The minister could have equally told the now president the approach is totally wrong, so we may have to reschedule this meeting, so come back when you're prepared and ready to dialogue. That would have been a nice dismissal.
That sounds impressive.
Thank you.
Well, the minister didn't take that didn't take it very casual. He took it very serious and dismissed the young man who came to, of course, prepare to present their own side of the story, or present their point. And today, it's making story that the Nance president behaved unprepared. He came unprepared and couldn't present. As he rightly said, maybe he made some points, but the manner in which he presented his points were what the minister faulted and worked out. Because what I saw there, I expected, of course, that the Nance president, yes, we fault him that he didn't, he behaved unpresidential, or more or less, yes, of his position. He behaved unlike his position, because you're the president of Nigerian students. It means you must be well cultured, even as much as when you present your facts and they are not being heard some point, that is when you begin to erupt. But again, I would have the Minister of Education, or Minister for Education, one will see him that now you are the Minister for Education, it means you are the father of all students, right?
Yes.
So when a student comes to you and he puts up some behavior you are not comfortable with, what do? You walk out, or you calm down? You calm the person down and said, young man, what you've done is not correct. So this is the way you need. Okay, go and prepare yourself and come for the next test. You rightly suggested. So the minister perhaps didn't act like a father at that particular point. We didn't see a fatherly role there. We saw more or less like, oh, you came this way, I'll give you back. So I'll give you back, and
we saw ego playing out.
So yeah, so but here the minister failed. I would say he failed in his fatherly role. Supposed to calm the young man down, tell him you came for a very serious issue and you needed to be more serious with your presentation. But here you didn't do well. Okay, but it has happened.
Yeah.
Any other NAS president from now begin to learn that anytime you are going to meet any minister or anybody that you have to put up a presentation of the plights of students, you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
He could have come with some documents or prepared speech so that he will submit to the minister. I don't know whether he came with it, and maybe I think he was overzealous and kind of present. But in whichever way we place it, we definitely see that there are faults in both parties, from both sides. The student union has its own share, and the minister as well. Now, the two of them have fought. Nobody, we don't know what's the point. The minister walked out, the now student, more or less
solidarity. I don't know. Sure, you could say that.
So what is the solution?
Yeah, we could see that maybe to some extent he's the mentor. But this goes along with beyond this incident that happened. It's a lesson for everybody, for every Nigerian. You know, youth are advocating that they be given the opportunity to govern. it takes emotional control to govern. It takes emotional intelligence to govern. And again, dialogue, it's not the way.
No. But I would agree. We shouldn't use that as a way to judge youth. There are lots strong youths there who have a strong mental
but
capacity.
When things like this happen, then they begin to question a lot of the capabilities of youths to govern, because this is non-precedent. Before the minister, you could see it, the approach. Though for many people, he acted right. It's a union. This is how they should act. They are angry, you know, so this is the best way he could express himself to be understood properly. But is it really the best way to express himself in a global society where the world is leading to the form of conflict? There are different approaches to resolving issues, and violence has become outdated. It's no longer the way forward.
I'm not agreeing with Mercy on this, and I will not use the NAS president misconduct, quote and unquote, as a yardstick to judge whether young men are ready to rule the country. Young men are capable. They have the mental strength to take anything. There are a lot of them. Perhaps I've interviewed a couple of them. I've also seen a couple of them make some statements on national TV. They're very coherent and ready. They're indeed very ready to take the bulls. The challenge could be that maybe they've not been given opportunity. I've seen some others in different states who have maybe commissioners who occupied some SSA positions, and you talk about governors. The Lagos State governor is a young man, so he's doing well as well. So there are young men who are prepared. So nobody should just use that the NAS president's saga and crucify young men for leadership. They are prepared.
And they're ready.
Are you not ready to okay? All right, let's go to another thing. Women are asking for their rights. They want to be heard, and they've been occupying the National Assembly of late. Let me read some of the things they wrote at the back of their shirt, or back of their protest shirt, and see. I wish I could get the pictures to the back room and project to you. They said, "This is the constitution women want." Okay, listen to this. And they said 111 seats for women. I don't know, National Assembly or State Assembly. I don't know, but that should be National Assembly, of course. That is where most of the seats are. And then they say indigenship. So when a woman marries to a particular place, she becomes an indigene of that place. That means she can contest and vie for political position. That is one thing they are clamoring for. And it says citizenship as well, and 35% in party leadership. 35%. So if a party leadership is made up of only 10, what becomes of the women? How many positions they want? And they said more appointed position. So these are some of the points, or rather what women are saying. This is how they want their constitution to look like in the amendment that is ongoing. So is this realistic? I have a woman in the studio here. I know she will say this is indeed the constitution of what women want. So
funny enough, for the first time I wish this cross will pass me by and I won't have to comment. I'll just have to reserve my comments here. But I have to say something, right? Okay. In as much as women, are demanding that they be considered, that they be put, in the forefront, or rather on the equal line with men, we have to be considerate as well with our demands. We have to be practical. We have to be realistic, and we shouldn't be all, self-centered, or because women have been relegated at the back seat for a very long time now, we want the front seats, then we should be giving all. We should learn to still understand that, I know many women will come for me for saying this, but we are still women, and a man is still the man. A man will still govern, a man will still take the lead, and we should support. Benjamin, What okay. Like something will come for me after saying this.
Okay, I think let me clip your wings so that you don't fly too high.
Okay.
Before you get and some people begin to shoot you.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Okay, maybe I'll say that's a fine place to leave it.
Thank you. Let's go on a break.
All right, but of course, women are clamoring for all of this, and I think the men too should consider their cry. Not all of it. Maybe some where it is realistic. Let's call a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking with the man in charge of Benue State e-learning. What is it all about? That will be after the break. Join us again. Welcome back to the show, and if you're just joining us, it's Daybreak Benue. Recently, there was a commissioning of Benue State e-learning and virtual education ICT resource center, Besevic, and I think what we have now is basically everything is going into ICT, and now we have the launch of our e-learning center in Benue State. That's what we're going to talk about after now, or even now rather, and we have joining us to tell us more about this topic, about Besevic, about e-learning, Benue State e-learning center. We have Mr. Bandi Tewase. He is the managing partner and team lead, Benue State e-learning virtual education ICT resource center, Besevic. We have Francis Terra. He's a registrar and administrative officer, Benue State e-learning virtual education ICT resource center, Besevic. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
It took me so much time to read all of this. Benue State e-learning virtual education ICT resource center and so on. So it's quite a lovely concept. So let's begin by asking you, I've seen what it all entails, and I'll start with you, the managing partner. What do we know more? We know that it's e-learning. We know that we want to learn via the internet or using computers and the rest. What more should we know?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. Benue State e-learning and virtual education ICT center, as the name implies, is basically an intervention agency in line with the National Policy on ICT in Education 2019. The policy emphasized that for learning to be complete, the education sector must integrate ICT into a full learning process. And based on that, the document emphasized education at tertiary level should be 100% ICT compliance, at secondary education should be 70%, and at basic education should be 50%. And for education sector to achieve this, the document emphasized state government and local government should go into a collaboration effort to see that ICT infrastructure is provided in form of software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. This is in order to assist the education sector achieve these stated objectives of having ICT incorporated into education. Benue State government on 5th of August 2020, under the legislation of Governor Tom, approved the establishment of Besevic as an intervention agency to ensure that schools and education stakeholders in Benue State have access to this infrastructure, to see that learning is made easy, to see that content is digitalized, to see that schools are provided with infrastructure. When we talk about providing soft and hard infrastructure as a service, is to see that schools ordinarily will be using money to buy servers, using money to buy computers to install data and the rest of it. The center's job is to provide such service only for schools to connect. That's to say, if you are a school owner in Benue State, the content digitalized in Besevic can be given to you to share with your student. It can be done through internet, through intranet. Intranet for those schools who are in rural areas that they could not have access to internet. Intranet for those students who do not have money to afford data. So the policy of Benue State government is to see that content, both knowledge economy, is provided to the barest minimum to each student in Benue State.
Okay, sounds impressive.
Yeah.
And I want to bring it to Mr. Francis.
Yeah.
Maybe you have one or two things to add.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's an honor being here. Basically, the center came into being as a result of the need for us to have an avenue that will be able to cater for the Benue child, even when we have challenges like the one we experienced last year in 2020 and part of 2021. You will recall that in 2020 there was this issue of COVID-19, and for the most part of the year schools were closed down. There was no learning, and a greater chunk of our learning population were at home without any access to education, and that had a devastating effect on our education system. And again, you are also aware of the fact that the state has been plugged with a lot of insecurity challenges in the state, with many of our people living in IDP camps and without access to quality education, so to say. Now, the police came into being such that even when you are at home, locked down by man-made or natural disaster like the one we experienced, people in the comfort of their homes, whether they're hiding away from whatever challenge they might have, they should also have access to education. That's the essence. That at every point in time, there should be no break in education and all that. So the governor saw it in his wisdom. He saw it that there's need for us to have something on ground like that, and this is what we are here to provide.
Okay.
Thank you.
When is this supposed to kickstart, and what's the sustainability plan?
Oh, the thing has started already. The sustainability plan is that it's a public-private partnership. I am from the Ministry of Education. I'm a Deputy Director, Planning, Research and Statistics in the Department of Planning, Research and Statistics. And when the matter came on, government felt that he is a managing partner, and there is need for us to have somebody who is from the ministry to understand what our managing partner is doing, so that by the time, if perchance he leaves us, we should have a plan we can fall back on, and that is why I am here. In fact, the government made it clear that somebody from the ministry whose rank should not be lower than a deputy director or an assistant director should be appointed to understudy what is happening there, so that at the end of the day, when it is gone, we take over. Okay,
is this project just for the Otumled administration, or is meant to go beyond the administration?
Besevic has come to stay as an agency of the state government, basically on issue of providing interventional ICT in education. And if you go through his speech on that day, his speech made it clear that the process for a bill to establish Besevic as an agency is ongoing.
I see. I read I think one of your on your site. I read something and it says learning for everyone. If not for your site, I think Federal Minister of Education. That is what e-learning is all about. Yeah. Learning for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And I begin to imagine, if you say learning for everyone, how does this Besevic carry the adults?
Okay.
Both of you can respond.
Yes.
Then he start first.
Learning for everyone is possible. I think the challenge we normally have is when we talk of learning, we're looking at the classroom situation. It shouldn't be looked at from that perspective, because even as I'm here, I am learning. On my farm where I go, there are things I learn every day, and this is what we're trying to do. We're not just looking at the classroom situation where we have teachers interacting with students. We provide content that will be able to, if you want to learn shoemaking, for example, you have graduated, you don't have a job, and you want to start something for yourself. We have content like that. We go out to these people that run these roadside shops that do some of these things. We document content from there and then we upload. So if you have interest in, let's say, shoemaking, cake baking, and all those kind of things, you can access our content, and then from there you will learn. So it's just for everybody, the adults, the young children, primary 1, primary 2, university graduates, school of nursing and all that. We have content for them.
You want to respond, but I also have another question, but just respond first.
Thank you very much. Learning for everyone is very easy and simple when it comes to E. Some people look at e-learning as online strictly, but in a deep perspective, e-learning is anything electronic. If we develop content and provide it on a flash drive for a kid in a rural community where ordinarily cannot have access to internet, if you have a tablet that is working offline with a content and we get it to a child in a village where there is no internet, he's learning. That is one. Two, Besevic has gotten approval for establishment of what we call e-learning TV, the first of its kind in this country, from NBC. We are working with NICOMSAT to ensure that all these things are provided. How is it going to work? We are having a full school on air. A full school on air means JSS1 is a channel. It's a DTH model that we're dealing with. JSS1 is a channel, JSS2 is a channel of its own, from primary 1 to SS3. That means if you have a child who is in JSS1, you have a decoder in the house. A normal classroom setting that you have in the physical classroom is applied in this case. You will have a timetable arranged. We're equally working on that. So the learning without boundary is what we're talking about. A bag-free education is what Besevic is talking about here. You don't need to carry a bag that you're going to school before you study. We're trying to look at having what we call smart community learning centers in areas where there are IDPs, in areas where there are out-of-school children. This is part of what we are working with GPE, Federal Ministry of Education, and UNICEF on Learning Passport. Learning Passport is a platform developed by UNICEF as a result of COVID-19 and post-COVID intervention approach in learning across the globe. And Nigeria is part of what they are benefiting from. So, Learning Passport is to ensure that content is made available online and offline. When you talk about learning, e-learning, you must make reference to online and offline, because not everybody have access to internet, and not everybody, even where internet is, have the resources to have access to internet at the same time. So learning is a continuous process with and it's very important, and this is the most reason why the Benue State government has taken a bold step. It will surprise you to know that UNICEF, upon inspection of Besevic, told us in clear terms that no single state have domesticated the policy the Benue State government is doing, and they went further to invite other states that are participating on Learning Passport with Benue State to come and take a cue, a model from what Benue State government has put on ground. In the speech of the Honorable Commissioner of Education on the Commission of Besevic, told the gathering that his colleague from Nasarawa State called him officially that what are they doing that UNICEF have asked them to come and take a cue from them. So really we have taken a step forward, because the future education is here. The future education is and we must embrace that. And that's the reason why in Besevic we are not just talking about e-learning. We're talking about providing infrastructure for e-learning for schools.
Yeah.
In our office, we are not doing e-learning in the office. We are not conducting any learning within the office. We are providing infrastructure. If you want to implement e-learning, first, the teachers must be digital inclined. You must equip them with the knowledge. So we have training as number one, training teachers with digital literacy, providing platform for lecturers and teachers to be digital inclined, giving them knowledge on multimedia technology, use of classroom technology, and the rest of it, to ensure that this content is made available and easy to produce.
All right, viewers watching right now probably wondering the financial implication on their own part, towards this project. Is there any? Yeah, there's any, but if you look at it critically, the Benue State government has taken a very bold step. The governor's speech on the commissioning told the gathering that the state government, with the partnership and the rest of them, subsidize every cost of the process in Besevic by 60%. That means if you are coming to Besevic to have access to the services we are providing, 60% is already taken off by the Benue State government and the intervention partners they are working with. Like there are some infrastructure we have in place that were provided by GPE, Federal Ministry of Education, and UNICEF as part of the intervention we're talking about, to help us digitalize content. For example, I earlier mentioned you have a school where you don't have a teacher in geography. Besevic has teachers that are digitalizing content in all these subjects. We were able to demonstrate that as we speak, we have over 500 contents on ground in different subjects. We develop them, we edit to a format that everybody out there can view as if you are in a normal class. So once a school gets to us, this content is going to be made available for you. Then that means if you have an instructor in your class, you don't have a problem in that subject again. Understand? So this is applicable to government and private institutions in the state. For example, you are a tertiary institution and you have a visiting lecturer that you digitalize his lecture series and you add them, because we are providing you with a platform. Whether you're in a remote area, you can only access the class in the comfort of your own room. You must not bother the visiting lecturers to start coming to your institution. So these are the basics that the Benue State government is trying to see, that education is made available and easily accessible in Benue State.
Okay.
And add to that, please. You mentioned something about subsidy by the state government. what does this entail? One, we are carrying out a baseline assessment of all facilities that ICT facilities that are in schools. You know, there are some of them that were donated by honorable members from the various communities. There were some of them that were given by Federal Ministry of Education and other agencies. Now, some of them are lying there moribund because they don't have personality, people who have the know-how to manage them in such schools. Now that we have come on board, what we're trying to do is we're trying to see how we can key into this. Visit these schools, know the level of functionality of some of this equipment, and see how we can. We have software engineers, we have hardware engineers who can go there and maintain these things for the school. It is cost-free. Once you are registered, you have approval from the State Ministry of Education to come to us. We can go to your school and then do these things for you. And again, you mentioned the issue of training. You agree with me that having a training for computer appreciation with a roadside trainer, you know how much it costs? Something within the range of 35, 40, or even up to 50,000, depending on the organization. But now what the state government has done is that we are to train teachers, and they are to pay not more than 10,000 naira for a certificate that is approved by National Board for Technical Education Exams. So you can see that is what we talk about the subsidy. Yeah. Instead of paying up to 40, 50,000, you are paying just 10,000 naira to get your certificate. And it is a certificate that is acknowledged. It's a certificate that is approved and accepted by any organization in Nigeria.
Okay. I think we spoke here. I've got a lot of things that I want to ask you. The managing partner here said, and the team lead made mention that some states were invited to come and see the standard you have made.
Yes.
Did you say it was the first? The state, Benue State, is the first that has domesticated?
Perfectly well. That's what it is. And National State Ministry of Education sent their delegation. They came, and they were really shocked that, wow, this is happening. And they even asked, what's the magic? Okay. So it is there, and it's on record that Benue State government is the first and only state in this country to have domesticated e-learning and ICT intervention in education as an agency to stand on its own and provide support services in line with the National Policy on ICT Education 2019. Okay,
that's a better clarification. Yes. Because I went to the Ministry of Education and their website, and I saw states currently embarking on e-learning during the COVID-19. And I have discovered that there are 5 states here, and Benue is not even among them.
Okay, let me clarify that. There's an e-learning platform, and there's an agency on e-learning. You understand what I'm saying? During the COVID-19 lockdown, state provided platform for kids to come and learn on it. Benue State was not among those states. Benue State sat back, developed a model that will be a permanent solution, not just as a result of the pandemic. That's what we are saying. And after that, all these platforms we are looking at it, most of them are not in existence again. Understand? Today as we speak, currently as we speak to you, last month, 2 of our personnel facilitated a workshop with GPE, Federal Ministry of Education, and UNICEF on learning passport. As we sit here, 2 of them are currently on a 15-day national content review workshop with UNICEF and GPE on the same learning passport project.
Barcelona, Abuja.
Abuja. So the issue is, for having an agency on ICT and e-learning intervention, you can check, you will not get any state. Okay. This is, we're talking about having on ground an agency where you can go get support and all that you required on ICT and e-learning education.
So this is the first.
This is the first step, and that's the more reason why UNICEF as a global recognized organization were able to like tell other states to come, and they have started coming.
Okay, that is fine.
And to add to that, I think we're not just making a pronouncement here. The pronouncement was made by the technical advisor to the Honorable Minister for Education, Dr. Mahmoud Ahmed. So you see, we didn't take it upon ourselves to say this. They said it in our presence. When they came to on the 13th of February, they were here to understand.
When we were talking, you made mention of you could get contents from some those who could make shoe in case you don't know how to make shoes, tailoring. I think those are skills.
Skills.
I begin to think, what are the content? What are the category of content that we have for the students or for everyone who wants to learn? Is it part of, we're going to have skills, at the same time going to have the normal classroom content? Are they all together?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, they're all together.
They're together.
So the skills, you get skills, and then we get
the classroom content.
The classroom content.
Yes, that's just the essence.
How divided is this, or how segmented?
Like he said, when we go to, if you go to our learning management system, you find that there are what we call instances. These are just subjects for particular classes. You go to JSS1, you find the content that is there on the learning passport. It's not just in Benue State here, for all the states. You can just log in and get what you want. So when you have, if you're outside of the normal classroom situation, what you do is you can go to the one that is for entrepreneurship. You can go for the one that is for skills and all that. We have divided them in that manner on our learning management system.
It's quite impressive that I heard you said you have over 500 content already created. One begins to imagine how, whether your facility, you have more facility that can take, because some of these things, some people, when it comes into the arena of government, they say government is not a good manager of some of these facilities. You sure you can handle this?
Thank you very much. And that's the reason why, if you look at the model we're operating, it's a PPP model, that Benue State government is there, and then the private partner is at the other end, providing the technical skills, and government is providing the administrative arrangement of the center to ensure that there's continuity and functionality of the system. And if we look at how far we have gone, that tells you really that we want to achieve and we are ready to achieve more. For us to tell you we have gotten a provisional approval from NBC to have a DTH platform to run our e-learning television, should tell you we are ready to do more. For us to have online online radio platform right now that you can download the app. You can go to Google Play Store and download Besevic radio app, and we have it in TV, Idoma Aligede. I'm trying to see that English is there, TV, Idoma Aligede is there for you to have access to learning content in various languages. It's a clear indication that we really want to do more. And the fact that the teachers are already there with this knowledge in the classroom. All they need is the digital presentation skills to be able to convert their lesson plan into a script, to be able to present it for us to record, and our editors to do that. As we speak to you, we have four recording studios on ground. We're inviting you for a visit to our facility to do more awareness on this. We're not just coming here. We'll be coming back for courtesy call to your principal and equally invite you to be partner to what we are doing. We can equally get a desk officer from this organization to be part of our activities. Our desire is to see that learning is made easy, accessible, and as much as possible.
Okay, you've been sounding very impressive all along, and we will go on a short break. And when we come back, the conversation continues. Join us again. right, welcome back to the show. We're still talking about Benue State e-learning and ICT education. That's what we are talking at the moment. You can be part of the conversation by following all our socials and leave your comments or questions that you have. But before we go into more of the discussion, let's take the commissioning video. How did it go?
The sector of education has been one of the major areas of focus for the Utom-led government since the inception of his administration. Over the years, the governor has provided thousands of desks and chairs as well as other school facilities to create a conducive learning environment for students and pupils in primary and secondary schools across the 23 local government areas of the state. The commissioning of the Benue State e-learning virtual education ICT resource center is another milestone achieved by the governor in the educational sector of Benue State. The initiative has been developed as a response to the Federal Ministry of Education's National Policy on ICT in Education Document 2019, which calls for state government's intervention through robust alternative financing of ICT in education. The facility, amongst many other reasons, is a deliberate response by the state aimed at mitigating the devastating effects of COVID-19 and post-COVID pandemic on education in the state. Governor Utom, who is represented at these events by his Chief of Staff, Tivlo Mungitse, discloses.
Besevic is a deliberate response by the state government aimed at mitigating the devastating effect of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 pandemic on education in the state. It is also to assist in the implementation of Benue State policy on ICT in education through subsidy interventions that will support finance, software, and hardware infrastructure in the state ICT sector.
The State Commissioner for Education, Sawan Tanongo, and other key speakers at the event emphasizes the importance of information and communication technology, ICT, in enhancing education service delivery. He calls on stakeholders in the state to take advantage of the state government's policy on ICT to secure a better future for their wards.
It is imperative to mention the fact that the mandate to develop Benue education IT's ecosystem is huge, and we call on all stakeholders to come on board, take advantage of the state government policy and intervention to secure a better future for the Benue child.
Governor Utom commends Garment Corporate Limited and other development partners that have partnered the state government on public-private partnerships to establish the Benue State e-learning virtual education ICT resource center. Lucy Atsaga, Benue Television News, Makudi.
Okay, that's the report there. You have heard what transpired and what we now know. Let me come to you, the managing partner. There is something you made mention about before we went on that break. You talked about TIV, the instructors in these languages, TIV, Gede, Idoma, and so on. Do you have it Chilo as well? You don't have?
Oh, as a matter of fact, we don't have. Really, it's a reminder that we should do.
Okay, yeah.
It's a reminder we should
because
do, obviously. For now, on our platform, we make provision for the TIV, apart from English, the TIV, Idoma, and Igede, and that Chilo aspect is very important. We'll take note of that.
Okay, yesterday we had a discussion on Mother Tongue Day celebration.
Yeah.
And I want to read to you what UNESCO in 2016 said and whether it will work here. To ensure that children acquire strong foundation skills in literacy and numeracy, schools need to teach the curriculum in a language children understand. Mother tongue based bilingual or multilingual education approaches in which a child's mother tongue is taught alongside the introduction of second language and can improve performance in the second language as well as in other subjects. That's what UNESCO said in 2016.
Yeah.
Now we have Besevic. And what UNESCO is advocating here is geography should be taught in Tiv language, in Idoma language, in Igede language.
Yeah.
Maths or mathematics should be taught in indigenous or mother tongue language.
Yeah.
Is Besevic looking towards that direction?
I think we're already on that part, because for us to like explain earlier to you that our radio model is segmented into these languages is a clear indication that we want to implement what you have just stated. And we have some translators that we're working on. We're even encouraging some partners to start going on Google Translation TIV, because if you Google today, you can hardly see a translation from TIV on Google. So we don't have contributors in that regard. So we are equally working to see that we have contributors who are very vast in TIV and all these languages to make these things available. So for us to have mentioned to you that we have segmented our radio in this aspect is to ensure that learning takes place in this format.
Let me also add that to us in Besevic, I think indigenous language, the mother tongue, is key to understanding every other language, because a human being thinks with his language. You think in your language. Take for example, you are a Tiv person and they say box. What comes to your mind is the akwati you know in your language, and then you translate. That's what happens in the thought process of a man. That is how you learn a language. And secondly, again, the national policy on language education stipulates that the first 3 years of primary education, the language of instruction should be the mother tongue. And the subsequent years, that is to say that, for example, if you are in a Tiv speaking area and you go to school in primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, you're supposed to be taught all subjects in the language of the local community, the language of the immediate community. And by the time you go to the higher classes, English language becomes the language of instruction, but then you are taught Tiv or the local language as a subject. That's what the National Policy on Language Education says. So we are, as an educational institution, we are looking at all these aspects. It's a whole overall kind of education we're trying to provide, and we are guided by all this.
Before my colleague comes in, because what yesterday we were discussing, and I'll look at this from what you said here, that from primary 1 to 3,
yes, that's what the National Policy on Language Education says.
That's a theory.
Yeah,
that's not practical.
No, it has said, but it's just the same way we're talking about the National Policy on ICT in Education 2019. All they emphasize, okay, go to a tertiary institution, including the federal government institutions. Some of them you can't even get ICT infrastructure 30%. But the policy emphasizes 100% compliance. So most of these things, and that's the more reason why the interventions come from Benue State government in this regard. If other stakeholders begin to implement this, it will start happening. So we must start from somewhere.
Okay, the schools that are to align themselves with this project, it's not mandated upon them, right? They have to make their intentions known.
Yes.
Okay, is there any plan to mandate this on schools?
Once the law comes into effect, the law will not provide the policy direction. But for now as it is, I think the stakeholders, there's no stakeholder that's not willing to participate as it is. Some have started calling us left and right that, how can we be part of this project? Because like, if you go back to a clip you watch, like when they were watching our economic lesson as on that day, I don't think everybody in that hall was clapping or was smiling that, wow, this is happening. And most of the schools lack teachers in this regard. So what the state government is putting in place is what every stakeholder is willing and ready to join in, without even forcing them to be part of it.
Okay, with this in place now, will it now solve the problem of lack of teachers physically?
Yes, I think it will, because in that meeting in Abuja, the UNICEF GP meeting and the Federal Minister of Education meeting that they had, the Honorable Commissioner for Education in Bauchi State was part of those who were undergoing the training. And the man made a very important speech. He said that he had applied to the state government to give him the provision to employ 500 teachers. But with this on ground now, he's now asking the government to allow him employ 250 so that he can use the other resources to put infrastructures in place to be able to carry out this e-learning of a thing. Because he understands that if you have one teacher on a platform like the e-learning, you can duplicate that teacher in 1,000 classrooms. Instead of putting him, confining him in just one classroom, he can be used in, if his lesson is digitalized and then is put on air, what happens is over 1,000 classrooms will be able to access it. So it's better for him to do that than employ physical teachers. So I think it should be able to solve, it can solve the issue of lack of teachers. Because for one, let me tell you something, even when we go to school, those areas that we study in the university, you find that there are some things you just manage to pass them, to write and pass. The same thing applies to teachers. We have, as human beings, we have our own biases. There's a particular topic in that subject you are teaching. It gives you headache, but then you manage to teach it. But here is the situation where we have people who can now also bring in what we call integrated teaching. This person is teaching this particular topic, this particular topic, that his abilities will allow him. So you have better teaching than when one person is allowed to teach in others in all the topics of a particular subject because of our own individual limitations and biases.
That's quite lovely, and when I look at them, you see, for me it sounds good, and you talk about we're going to do this, or it's running already. I cast my mind to the young man who is very who wants to study some particular subjects in the village, and who perhaps there is no power, and who perhaps cannot access even a phone. And how does Besevic reach that particular young man?
All right, thank you very much. I earlier told you we have to start from somewhere, and there are some intervention projects. Like if you look at UNICEF, the intervention UNICEF is doing and how they are able to find Besevic very important and close to them is because we have outlined the activities that they are really in line with what UNICEF is doing. Remember, I told you that we have designed to launch smart community learning centers to take care of those kids in IDPs and those out of school children in environments where they could not go to school. It's part of what UNICEF is already on. And this project is trying to provide learning tablets to the kids that don't have access and don't have the resources to get this. And in these smart learning centers, there's a power plant system that the solar panel will be there provided for them to charge the learning tablets, or you get them in clusters within this village that you can find them the same way you're asking, to ensure that you gather them, they study, you give them tablets, you identify them, and these are the processes. That's the basic reason why the intervention and the partnership with UNICEF on this project is very, very vital as it is now. And as I speak to you, the last visit provided an opportunity for us to get access of 50 GB on the e-learning cloud, or the e-cloud of the federal government Inspire project, because of what we are doing. It's part of this project that the UNICEF is already coming back to sit with us to see that our approach of 50% data subsidy from niche concert for education institutions in the state and the other interventions will sit together and modify, including the issue of smart community learning centers, to be part of the continuous learning process through UNICEF. So it's part of the intervention we're looking at.
And let me also add that you know that it's a new concept altogether. It's barely in our community, in our place here. It's just entirely is completely new, and we are still working on it. When you came on the 13th of February, the visit we told you, we're trying to explore avenues that we can address situations like the one you were talking about. Now, what the UNICEF monitoring officer said was that why don't we sit down, explore the possibility of using these football viewing centers? For example, you can get an encrypted lesson on Flash, and you go to these people, give them a little bit of some cash, and then the moment before the match begins, play some lessons for them, and then we can work on that too. They say they're doing it up north. Some places up north, they're trying to see how they can bring that up. So if somebody is interested in learning and he discovers that a particular football hall has something like that, or some of these other boys that repair phones, when you're coming in, you have a phone, and then as you are going, they just put some of these lessons into your phone. As you open, you see it there. These are some of the things we're trying to work on. But we have not really started that because we too are trying to find our feet on the ground. By the time we go fully operational, then we'll begin to examine some of these things that are doing elsewhere. That is to address the issue I've raised. For somebody who is interested in learning but doesn't have some of these facilities that we're talking about.
Okay, yeah, just because when we ask like this, we want to know the future plan that you people have.
Yeah.
Do you have an intention of having a pilot test somewhere, some communities, as the case may be? But it's quite lovely that we've heard that you have some plans to work on that. And I'm very sure that whatever is being done, it's in line with the curriculum of the state.
Certainly.
Very well.
Certainly.
Very well.
Okay. So
there has actually been talks on the need to improve on the curriculum of the state. Is there any plan in the pipeline that we're working on currently, or it has been improved on already?
The issue of curriculum is not really our own to discuss here, because the National Education Research Council, Development Council, has the mandate to develop curriculum. Curriculum is issue that has to do with experts. So what they do is they put together a curriculum in line with the vision of the nation, and then they make it available to schools, just like our own, our other platform like our own, to use. So the issue of curriculum is not really our own. We take the one that's available, given to us by the State Ministry of Education, and then we structure whatever we are doing along the lines of what is provided in the curriculum. So it's not really an issue we can discuss here. We have little control over it. But if in the course of implementing there are issues we've discovered should be addressed, then we can now get in contact with the Director of Education Services, who is in charge of all curriculum in the state, and then he can make a case. For now,
Mr. Bandi, let me ask you this, and let me ask you this. There is this particular, one of the objectives, I would say, of Besevic is to support ICT infrastructure development, and as well in other schools in Benue State. Yeah. One particular teacher may be watching now.
Yeah.
And, I think you made mention of that earlier.
Yeah.
But he would like to know specifics. Where are you going to support them?
All right. Thank you very much. I earlier mentioned from the beginning that we are handling the issue of ICT software and hard infrastructure intervention in form of software as a service, hardware as a service, platform as a service. I told you this is to ensure that if a school desires to have a particular, maybe put an infrastructure in place for learning, like put a server, put any other issue on the rest of it. Our center has that in place. You can only connect and have access to that service. Understand? For example, if schools that have computers donated, like you rightly mentioned, from various development partners and a representative from government, and they are not functional because they don't have the technical know-how, we have already employed hardware engineers from Besevic. That is our job. Once the ministry approves that, get this thing from Besevic, we provide that intervention. We have partnership with hardware suppliers that are providing computer and or laptops at 40% subsidized rate, that if any teacher is out there or any education stakeholder is out there that desire and wish to have one, there's a spread payment that 6 months to 8 months you will make the payment. Those are the hardware interventions. And the laptops are coming with, some of them are coming with content and resources on it already for teachers and lecturers to use. At the same time, some of them are even coming with all that is required for e-learning to be carried on. Some of them are already coming with Microsoft license platform that you can easily install and start running. You are not going to start running from one place to another to start installing these software applications on the laptop that will be provided to teachers. Once the teacher indicates interest that, oh, I need to have this. Once you are getting a laptop from us, you are not installing any e-learning application on it.
Okay, but let's look at some of those challenges. Perhaps, you know, it's a new thing, and when you begin, you have to experience some challenges. So tell us some of the challenges you've been facing.
Basically, for now, we have just been commissioned. At the back end, we can't just come and commission a place. You must put infrastructure, you must have a trained personnel, because the governor was not coming to commission a building and go. So we had some challenges from the past, trying to put all these things in place and all what have you, and trying to let people understand the concept was another difficult thing. Some people were just looking at e-learning. Okay, you are conducting lessons in your place and we have to sit and watch. They could not know the scope of what we are discussing here, and that one too was a big challenge. And we still have a lot of tasks ahead, advocacy, awareness and all what have you, to get people buy into the concept and see that the idea that Benue State government has brought on board, and to also make people look at it from no partisan perspective. You know, some people, even no matter how idea is good, no matter how brilliant is good, but because one party is bringing it on board, they will start to criticize it and they will not even want to get the benefit. So these are basically the challenges that you and we are expecting to see. And again, the resources, you know, they are always scarce, and it's one major challenge that we are anticipating to face, but with determination and basically the support UNICEF is providing and Prime Minister Education, because it is already on their mind that digital content should reach out there, and with their support I think we can be able to overcome some of these challenges.
To me, basically one of the challenges I'm seeing is, like you mentioned, the buy-in for us to get people to understand what we are doing. Thank God we are here this morning and you are giving us one of the platforms to sell out the idea to the people. And another one is, there is a general what we call technophobia amongst our people. When they say computer, when they say ICT, there's that fear. Will I be able to do it? Can I do it? That's one of the challenges we're going to meet. We have a teaching population that is, let me put it, has minimal knowledge of basic computer skills. And for us to run, let us be factual about this, for us to run an effective e-learning system, people who are to drive this policy must have some element of computer literacy to be able to achieve. Even the phone you use is a computer, and therefore you need that knowledge to be able to drive what we are aiming at. So that is one of the key challenges we are likely going to have. People to buy into what we are doing and to get rid of the fear that I may not be able to do it, especially among our teachers. This is an open. I wouldn't want to go into other details, but that's just a key thing.
Because I asked about the challenge and I gave you room to tell me the challenges you had. One challenge I've also seen is where there might be some personal revolt or group revolting. Teachers saying this is in a way snatching jobs from them. And how do you don't see that as a challenge? Or if you see it as a challenge, how do you intend to make sure that they don't see it in that particular way? It's almost the same thing with what you said, the phobia for ICT.
Let me answer before he because that's my area. I'm a teacher. A teacher by training. I've been a teacher. I've been a school inspector. I've been a quality assurance evaluation officer, and then thank God I'm here today. I know that teachers themselves know that we lack teachers grossly in the state. It's a fact. If you go to most schools, you discover that there are some schools that have a limited number of teachers, and the burden is on the PTA. Most schools, what they're running on now is the subsidies from the Parent Teacher Association, who have agreed to contribute some monies for the teachers to pay. So when a thing like this comes up, I think teachers should be happy, but we'll have to make them understand that this is coming to help them. But most of them will be able to discover that. You will discover that you go to some schools, English language is supposed to have like 5 lessons a week, and for 6 classes. And some of them have streams A and B, C, and you have 1 teacher. How can you cope? But you have a recorded content. You might be doing it Israel in one class, and then at the other class is there watching what you have already done for that particular class. It's possible. So we have to make them understand that this is the situation they're in, and we have come to help them salvage the situation. That doesn't mean that there won't be any opposition somewhere, but we understand this much.
Okay, you wanted to add
he has said it all, but the issue is the reward is what we expect in anything we do. Basically, even some people, even if we want to serve them, they will still say they don't want you to serve them, and I don't want you to help me. Maybe because you don't like you first, you don't even like the outlook, and that alone will discourage him from dealing with you. This is a fact. Remember, I earlier mentioned the issue of political differences, that even if a government policy or project is good, one group will say no, it's because it's coming from this government, coming from this party, I will not be part of it. I earlier mentioned that as part of the same thing you have mentioned. So the revolt in that regard too is still there. All we're trying to do is to let people know that the future of education lies in E and ICT. Whether you take it today or not, you either be coming behind tomorrow or be left behind. So we basically want them to know that this approach of Benue State government is very important for them to key in. We have to keep telling them the same way we're preaching salvation message every day.
Okay, when moving towards e-learning and ICT, one would expect that since it's more advantageous, opportunities are made available on the platform as well for students, because growing up in our time back then, we hardly were aware or informed of certain opportunities. Many people didn't know, they felt limited, they didn't know they could apply to Harvard while here in Nigeria, or they could sit for certain examinations. So are all of these things still keyed in these platforms?
Yes, I think we have done well in that regard. Well, as we are speaking to you, we have desk officers who are teachers in almost all the schools. And we have made it clear to them that it's their duty to sell out this idea to them, to take advantage of what's available for the students, so that they can key into it. I think it's better when teachers begin to tell their students what they have than those of us come from outside. That is the wisdom in trying to see that we have desk officers in all the schools. And I think they are doing a very good job of it. Even our luncheon, they were there. So whatever we are doing, we have created a group for them, and whatever that comes on, we let it on our group and they access it, and that is for the intention to be passed to their students as well.
You made mention of something, and when you said you're a teacher, you quality assurance and so on, and that brings me to the point to ask, what kind of quality of these materials we have? What's the quality of this material? The content that we have on this Besevic.
Okay.
Because why I'm asking this is on the fact that many people have actually rated Nigeria's education very low, in terms of the quality of education being given to students. Sometimes you have hundreds of thousands of graduates, and to write a simple letter is a big problem, and to even participate in some of the things that they actually studied in school is a big problem. Now you are bringing this kind of education, an e-learning one. What kind of quality are we going to have for those who are going to receive this particular education?
Thank you very much. The issue of standards in education, like I keep telling people anywhere I have an opportunity to say, normally is the issue of the quality of teachers we have. you can't give what you don't have. You can only give what you have. And we have a rigorous process of selecting people who are going to alter content for us. That is one. To see to it that the kind of people, it's not just that you have that knowledge. Do you have the ability to impact what you have? That is one. We are also working with the various institutions to see to it that they give us competent people who are competent, people who are experienced to be our content authors. I think BSU has given us up to 20 lecturers who are PhD holders to author content for us, professors to author content for us. The College of Education has also given us a list of people who are experts in their own individual areas. Their duty is not just to author content, they also help us in seeing what these people are doing. And we have also a team of education quality assurance evaluators. These are people who have been in the system, who have retired from service and who were trained as education quality assurance officers, who after content has been developed, content has been authored, developed and produced, then we bring them together, they sit and they watch the production to look at the technical quality of what is presented, to look at the content, whether it's in line with the curriculum or it's in line with and the teacher has the pedagogical skills to be able to impact what he has, whether he has followed all these things. And for those of them at that stage, they're either sent out, that is, they are rejected, or they are sent back to the studio when we discover there is a kind of lack of the kind of quality we needed. It's not up to what we want. It goes through a rigorous process because it finally gets to the public. So I think, and we're also working with the Federal Ministry of Education. Part of the review that they are doing in Abuja, our content is also there. So it's not just a thing that we sit in our office and do and then we send it out. No. It has to pass through the rigorous process of quality assurance to see that it has met with the best international global standards, because Besevic, once it goes on internet, it's no longer a local thing. It has gone global. And we are, like I tell people, we are sure, we want to ensure that quality is maintained. It's only the quality that we maintain that will sustain us. Once the quality is not there, people will not want to follow. So we have done this.
Okay.
No, he has said it all.
Okay.
Already we are using a mapping standard. A mapping standard for content provided by Learning Passport team under GP, Federal Education and UNICEF. There's a mapping standard that if you want to publish a content, it should be like this.
Yeah.
It should match this grade 1, pass to this. So you have to mark from 1 to 10. When your content pass all these stages, you can send it for publishing. Okay. And we are equally hoping that you will have a time here to be doing the e-learning ICT continuously, where our content can be air and for the Benue people to see.
That would be great.
Well, we'll go on a short break. You're welcome back to the show, and we are still continuing on the Besevic e-learning and ICT education.
All right. So, what are those big opportunities that are awaiting the Benue State in whole?
Like we earlier mentioned, ICT has become the mainstay of the economy globally. And ICT is paying more than oil, more than crude today. ICT is more than gold. If you look at the companies that are basically into software infrastructure, the years they were they were open, and today the rate of turnover and everything is huge. Like if you look at Flutterways in tech industry, if you look at the rest of them, it's very huge, and there's no business conducted anywhere without ICT. There's no business if you want it to survive. What we are running in this studio today is ICT. So the infrastructure development will bring a wide range of IT ecosystem that employment will be there, job opportunities will be there. For example, we have gotten approval from MBTE to run national diploma on software and hardware engineering system and multimedia technology within the same premises, to ensure that those people who are training have these skills, have a certificate to go out there. So job opportunities are going to be provided, learning is going to be made easy, a lot of issues are going to simplify the education system in the state.
Okay, now we do not have much time on our side again, so what are your parting words, and then the website, how people can access or key into this, other than those who are in schools already, because learning, everybody out there wants to grab knowledge these days. So let me begin with you on that.
I think all I can say is that for those of us who went to school earlier than now, we missed that opportunity. That opportunity is made available now. So I would just want to urge every Benue child, every stakeholder in Benue State, in fact all of us are stakeholders in this project, to key into it, like just the Honorable Commissioner said, to provide a better future for our children, a better future for ourselves, a better future for the Benue State.
And really, to us, we are happy that this opportunity is provided to us. We are grateful, and we say thank you to Benue Television, and we're looking forward to see that you create a platform for Besevic e-learning and ICT education to be part of your program, to see that content developed by Besevic can not only be viewed outside there on our platform alone, but can be viewed from the Benue TV. And the link is www.besevic.com. Once you go on there, you can be able to look at the aspect of what you want to do, the courses that you want to enroll, and all what have you. And we're equally working on the next phase of Besevic TV platform, which will equally still be going to be made available online for people to have access to.
Okay. Opportunities on Benue TV for Besevic to come in through sponsorship, right? So we're waiting patiently for when you come over to sponsor this program.
When it comes about when women are very interested in something, you should know the reason why they're
Exactly.
they're not just interested because it is just an interest. When it comes to money. But that is a wonderful one. We thank you sincerely. We want to thank you, Mr. Bandit Tewase, and also thank you, Francis Terra. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. And indeed, we hope to have you some other time again to talk more on this. It's quite very interesting. It's nice to see that Benue is setting the pace.
Thank you very much.
Sometimes see that it is not the big ones, but small things are very important. Again, thank you very kindly for coming on the program. We'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll take the papers, what they are talking and how they reflect on some of the things we've spoken about. Join us again. All right, welcome back to the show, and let's go straight to the newspaper segment where we bring you headlines of papers for the day. And we begin with the Nation's newspaper, and it carries this big headline. Our concerns about 2023 general election by INEC. Here we have a couple of riders here. There is security threat, says PDP, and political spending pushes up demand for dollar. Okay, what do you have there? You have Matawale, Bello, Lalong in APC convention panels. And then you have NDLEA files charges against Kerry and others. Top above the nameplate you have DSS. ISWAP training suicide bombers to attack Northeast. And hiccups delay evacuation of Nigerians from Ukraine. These are the stories you can have. But let's take the bottom strip here. Petrol hoarders to be sanctioned by NNPC. There's another worrying situation. These are the stories we have for you on the Nation's newspaper.
All right, let's quickly turn our attention to People's Daily, and the first thing that caught my attention is the big picture here, and then it talks about a National Ear Care Center, Kaduna. You know, they went on a walk, solidarity walk, to advocate for the need to take care of one's ear, and then the big banner that they carry here says, "Loud sounds at work and leisure can damage your hearing. To make listening safe. Once you lose your hearing, it won't come back." You know, as such, people should take precautions, take care of your ears as well, because that is one organ oftentimes that many neglect. All right, let's turn our attention now to the boat story on the People's Daily. Insecurity hampering 700 megawatts Zungeru power plant completion, says federal government. You find our story on page 5, and the writer says foreign workers still being held by kidnappers. Blames erratic power supply on low water level in hydro dams. That's a big story. Well, just below the masthead, why I filed application for Abakari's extradition, says HF, page 5. Now page 2 says 250,000 passports awaiting collection in Nigeria, says Aregbe Shola. Alright, at the bottom of the paper, ASU, federal government reconstitute team to renegotiate 2009 agreement. You find a story on page 6. Why are they renegotiating the agreement? All right, for details you need to grab a paper and read. On page 4, crisis rocks Kano and NPP over Kwankwaso's plan to join party. All right, let's turn our attention to one more story, and that is coming from page 3. 2023, INEC raises the alarm over insecurity, internally displaced persons. That's much now for us to take from the People's Daily. Which do you have over there? Okay,
let's go to the Daily Sun newspaper, and we have the leading story here. It says FG moves to hand carry over to US, and we have this other story above it. It says, as to strike, FG constitutes team to renegotiate 2009 agreement, and you have a couple of stories here. Fuel scarcity, NNPC warns against price hike. I think what you can find in Makurdi here, you have some filling stations are selling at 230 naira. Some are selling at 220. While the black marketers are also going with their own prices as well. So PDP has magic wand to reverse APC failures. And that's coming from Wiki. And the bottom strip here says 2023 elections will be free, fair, and transparent. And that's coming from Yakubu. So we get to know all of this. NNPC cancels ExxonMobil 1.6 billion oil field asset self plat. These are the stories we have for you for the Daily Sun.
All right, let's quickly turn our attention to the Punch, and the board story here says governors fume over falling FARC funds, carpet NNPC. That's a big story on page 17. And the writer says, NNPC not meeting FARC obligation, but declaring profit all sector up, says Fayemi. And then let's turn attention at the bottom of the paper, The Punch. Nigerian fighters must provide $1,000 for ticket visa, says Ukraine. That story you will find on page 2. And this other story on page 29 says, public officers' children free to attend schools abroad, says Reps. Page 5, IG decries illegal roadblocks, extortion, threatens sanctions. Page 7, Misa hits 8 states, and CDC laments non-vaccination. One more story from page 8 says 2023, desperate politicians may attack polling units, INEC warns. Every election year we seem to have this warning that desperate politicians will attack, and it discourages many people from even coming out to vote for fear of insecurity.
Yeah, of course, sometimes I don't know what they really mean. Well, let's look at Daily Trust. And Daily Trust has this story here, the leading story, or the big story, if you want to say. Russia-Ukraine war. Operational hitches delay evacuation of stranded Nigerians. And the riders' anxiety heightens among parents. Citizens' refusal to return responsible government officials. Why are they refusing to return? Okay, so the bottom strip here. You have FG to sanction underperforming discos, insist meters free, and the founder of Oduduwa Varsity remanded over murder of OAU student. In 2023, Nigeria needs serious change. That's coming from Tinubu. I don't understand. When you say Nigeria needs serious change, they are the ones who brought change, the change mantra. Now Tinubu is saying we need serious change. So change, is it change in another form? Okay, there was change, there was next level, there is serious change.
But Nigerians are definitely asking, now we say we want to give them change, the type of change, because we have positive change and negative change.
Alright, that's fine.
Okay, let's turn our attention to New Telegraph. And New Telegraph is full of political stories. The board story starts with the kicker 2023. PDP power block plots to stop Atiku. The rider, ex-vice president, said to consult Indigo as Southeast governors Der Ohaneze jostle for vice president tickets. Insecurity threatening general election, says INEC can, page 3 and 8. Well, on page 5, 2023, I'll bring new hope, tech for positive change as president, says Tinubu. Alright, page 4 and 8, 2023, why I may abandon PDP by crack. Security agencies demonstrating partisanship, says opposition. That's much that time will permit us to take from New Telegraph. Please grab it and read for details.
And that's too much we can go on the program for today. And one particular story that talked about ear care.
Yes.
It's very important. Sometimes I see people who listen to sound music. They can put earpiece and you can still have them hear the sound, the music sound coming from their earpiece. So people need to be very careful. They said once you lose your ear sense, it won't come back. So it's very sensitive. It's very something that we all need to take care of. Hearing loud sound is not good. You must be cautious of the kind of volume you have on your earpiece. It's very important. Maybe one of these days we'll have to bring an ear doctor to come and tell us more about this. But all the same, this is where we draw the curtains of today's program, and we will see you next week, Monday, from here. So, Benjamin, good service, my name.
My name is Mercy Upa. Happy weekend. Benue Television News comes up at 9 a.m. So keep watching Benue Television. Bye for now.